What's going on, Duke fans? That that was a fun one. That was a fun one to watch. Offense got going early on in this one against SMU, and Duke just. I mean, I wouldn't say they continued to roll from there because there was certainly moments where SMU was able to make this a close game in the first half, but once the second half started, this was a runaway show for the Duke Blue Devils and Cooper Flagg, and it was a just a great team performance by Duke with everyone up and down the roster contributing to the win in this game against SMU. And I just, Cooper Flagg, how good is this guy? Like, he just has an ability to do a little bit of everything. And today, it was the offense again. Like, offensively, he's just been getting better and better. And before the end of this, post game here, there is a point I want to make about Cooper's offense. But I want to, make sure we get to, we go through this game, and then we'll, start looking ahead to, the next one. So Duke wins this game against SMU 89-62. And for SMU 11-2, they haven't necessarily played any, certainly nowhere near, level of competition that Duke has seen to start the year. But they've played some decent opponents. They had, wins prior to this game against Duke over LSU, Washington State, and then Virginia and Boston College. ACC teams, but not necessarily great teams. And so I thought coming into this one, Duke could be tested. It's a road game. It's, probably one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the conference. It's a team in SMU that, if they would have won this game, would have been ranked in the top 25, probably somewhere around 20, give or take, and needed a marquee win to really solidify what they had done in their first 13 games and give them that real boost for an at-large berth for the NCAA tournament. And from the get-go, Duke got off to a good start. And it started with Cooper Flagg, scoring. And then it was a Con Knipple 3, which is just if you could draw it up, I don't know if you could draw it up any better than that, for that to be the way for Duke to start. And the reason I say that is because Con Knipple has kind of been, I don't know what the right word would be, but he has been kind of like the baron of how the Duke offense goes. When Con makes his threes, Duke's offense is like way up here. When he's not hitting his threes, we're somewhere like in the middle. And so it was a great start. And then on the opposite end of the court, the defense was come on Malawach, when he had that volleyball spike, Koglu, early on. And then he had, I think it was like a goaltend, there was one before where Con Knipple committed a foul. He blocked that one, and then there was a goaltend afterwards. So I know only one was technically a block, but it just felt like he was everywhere. And Duke, and then Tyrese Proctor really got going early on. He had 8 early points, including a pair of threes. He has that really nice play where it's like off of the inbounds play in the corner, and Duke will run it, and they'll have someone set a screen, and then he'll go like shoot a 3-pointer in the corner. And it's really nice to see with Tyrese Proctor, because you're starting to see, you've got that play. We saw towards the end of the second half, you've got Kamban Malawach and Con Knipple. They've got a chemistry with the two-man, the alley-oop game that's going on. And then Cooper Flagg is just everywhere in between. And not only is he everywhere in between, but lately the 3-point shot, the overall shooting, 8 for 8 from the free throw line today, 2 for 2 from 3. He's just been getting better and better as the year has gone on. And it's not like a linear progression, right? We had the Georgia Tech game on his birthday where it wasn't his best game. But overall, the trajectory for Cooper Flagg just keeps going. If you're looking at a stock chart, up and to the right, I guess would be the way it goes. And that's how Cooper's been all season. And the other thing in the first half, in terms of just overall observations, Cooper Flagg was awesome. First half, let me check my notes. He had 15 points. The other big key of the first half was Sion James. 7 assists in the first half, just orchestrating the offense. I gotta say, watching live, it wasn't so much, and I'm curious, what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments here. It wasn't so much like I was like, oh, nice pass, Sion. It wasn't like he was, really orchestrating everything, but I just looked at the box score and I was like, wow, he's got 5 assists already, finishes the half with 7. Kind of snuck up on me, but he's been doing a really good job since being inserted into the starting lineup at just being a steadying presence at that lead guard spot and really allowing, Tyrese Proctor, Con Knipple, and Cooper Flagg to just do what they do from their respective parts of the court. Quickly, let me circle back because there was to the first half here, because second half, things kind of, Duke kind of took control and never really looked back. There was a brief moment. I'll get to that in a bit. But first half, so Duke gets out to a 10-3 run, then it's 13-4. And then it's 13-4, and then they finish that first segment 15-7. And Duke has the ball, 15 minutes, 32 seconds to go. And I'm like, great first segment. Has been a little bit of a bugaboo for the Dukies, as we all know. But that second segment, just offensively, they played a little bit without Cooper in that segment. They just didn't have a rhythm. They only scored 3 points. SMU gets back into the game. It's one of 2 times in this game where you really notice the SMU crowd get involved, and SMU was able to cut it to the deficit to as little as 2 points. I had it as 18-16. And then Duke goes on a 10-4 run, and it's just all Cooper Flagg until Caleb Foster hits a 3, and that's what got him to 28-20. And there's a couple of other moments where late in the first half, Foster has the 3, as I mentioned. He also had another tough layup, and Mason Gillis had a couple of he had a big 3-pointer, and he set up a layup where he kind of set his guy up off of screen, faked to go to the left and then curled around the right side. There was no big guy around the rim at the time for SMU. Got a real easy layup, which was a big bucket for Duke as SMU was starting to climb back into it again. And Duke was able to build a little bit of a separation for halftime, going into halftime up 41-32. You open the second half. It's Cooper Flagg. Its first bucket is Con Knipple, and then the next 6 points are Cooper Flagg. And then there's a moment where Duke gets up by 54-37 after the first segment. So kind of mirror image of the first half. Same way that they started the first half, same way they start the second half. Just Duke is scoring the ball at will. And then Cooper has a little bit of a rough segment where he turns the ball over on 2 straight possessions. Then he slips, and SMU starts to cut into the lead. They had a little 7-0 run. The crowd starts to get into it. And then it was Sion James. Sion James had a nice pass to Malik Brown. Con Knipple hits a 3. Foster gets a layup. Proctor gets a 3. And that was basically it. From then on, there was a few highlights. You had the Mason Gillis dunk. You had the Con to Kaman connection. I will give a shout out to one thing on SMU, which was that dunk by Okendo. It wasn't quite on Malawach. It was like adjacent to Malawach. But man, that was ferocious. Gotta give a major shout out to him. Boopy Miller had a good game. Matt Cross was effective early, but overall, a tough game for SMU, especially as the game wore on. Before I get to the stats, gold, silver, and bronze. So from this game, I think it's pretty obvious. Gold medal, Cooper Flagg. He was awesome. He was everywhere. He finished with 24 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. And I mentioned the shooting before. 2 for 2 from 3, 8 for 8 from the free throw line. My silver medal, it's got to be Sion James. Finishing with 8 assists, the college level is very impressive. He also had 6 points and 3 rebounds. He had that really nice reverse finish at the end of the game. And then the bronze medal, tough. Lots of guys in contention today. But I'm going to go with Tyrese Proctor, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He hit 4 threes. And I just feel like him and Konkanippel had 14 points in this one. But I feel like Proctor's points were more timely when Duke needed them in the first half. So that's what I got. Gold, Cooper Flagg. Silver, Sion James. Bronze, Tyrese Proctor. So, again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So, going over the stats, or let me know what you think in the chat, rather. We're still live here. So, looking at the stats for today, it was just, like I said, a pretty well-rounded effort from this Duke team. A lot of guys contributed, and we had, performances from, everyone. And I think, we've touched on Malawach, touched on Flagg, touched on Proctor and James. Malawach's next guy I want to mention. Thought he had a really solid defensive game, got more involved in the offense as the game went on, finishing with 8 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. Just a really solid game from Kama Malawach. He did, miss both free throw attempts. We'll give him a pass. He's typically very good from the free throw line. And then Konkanippel, as I said earlier, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He even had a block in this one. 4 of the 5 Duke starters had a block in this game. Knippel had a slow start, got into early foul trouble. He picked up that second foul diving on the court, trying to get that ball from Matt Cross. It's something we've seen from Konkanippel in the past. He can be a little over-aggressive, going for offensive rebound opportunities or rebound opportunities in general. But I'd much rather somebody who's over-aggressive than afraid to, engage in being in for contact. He really got it going in the second half, hit a number of threes. He hit the early one. It was just a really solid performance from Konkanippel in this game. The bench. First 2 guys in today were Malik Brown and Isaiah Evans, which is very interesting because I thought Caleb Foster played well in the last game. Thought he might be one of the first 2 guys in. But can't complain because, Foster and Killis came in a minute and a half later. So I think it's clear we've got our 9-man rotation. So Malik Brown, not the best Malik Brown performance, not as impactful. Struggled a little bit with the size of Itikoglu, which, we've seen him succeed in similar matchups with Hunter Dickinson and Janai Broom. Janai Broom, albeit a little bit smaller than Itikoglu. He just, it wasn't Malik Brown's best game, but still really good. And just an awesome performance by Duke in this one. Then Isaiah Evans, he actually didn't hit a three-pointer, which is just kind of crazy to say. But he did, make a shot. He was 1 for 4 from the field. He did get to the free throw line, 1 for 2, 3 points. He did pick up a couple of fouls. Wasn't his best game. Those are the only 2 guys who I could say, wasn't their best game. Everyone else I thought played really well in this game and just a lot of things to be happy about. And those last 2 guys, Mason Gillis, 7 points in this game. I thought he was excellent. I think after those couple of rough games against Arizona and Kansas, I think he's just continued to build and get better, and just be more not necessarily better. I think a better phrase would be more comfortable. Like he's just gotten more comfortable in this Duke team, and we've seen more of the Mason Gillis that I think Duke and us fans expected to see with his track record coming over from Purdue. The big dunk towards the end of the game, a three-pointer, and just good, team defense from Mason Gillis. And Caleb Foster, I thought, he played better in the Virginia Tech game, and he scored the ball today. 9 points, he hit the three-pointer in the first half, a couple of nice layups. There were a couple of lapses from Foster, but I felt like overall he's moving in the right direction. So really solid effort from the Dukies today. Let's check the chat here. My man, Lawrence Freeman, says, I'm going to be all smiles till Tuesday, starting to dream of an undefeated regular season conference play. This was the one game I had us losing. We're going to get a number 1 seed, mark my words. I think you're right, Lawrence. I think if Duke, even if they lose, I think two is the magic number. They could lose 2 more games and still get a 1 seed. If they lose 3 games, I think just with the talent in the SEC, the number of good teams there, you look at an Iowa State in the Big 12, maybe someone from the Big 10. So I think, there's going to be 2 teams from the SEC for sure, maybe 3, and then, who gets the other 2 or 1 spots. I think you're right. I think the way Duke's playing, they should get a number 1 seed if things continue to roll the way they are. And then I thought we would win this game, but I thought it would be closer. I certainly thought it would be closer. I think in the preview, I said Duke would win by 5 to 15 points, so I was wrong. I just thought this SMU team, with their size and their confidence coming into this game, could give Duke some problems. But this is the number 1 defense in the country for a reason, and this was the number 1 offense in the ACC. Granted, they had not played anybody near the caliber of Duke, but still, you got to give them respect. They can't play anyone else who's on their schedule. They can only play the teams on their schedule, and they had taken care of business, basically up until now. Great win for Duke. Really good performance from the team as a whole. Let me see. Is there anything I missed before we wrap up here? Oh, no Coach Shire today. Hopefully Coach Shire, is able to rest up and be back for Tuesday, where Duke will be playing Pittsburgh. So we did see, I guess, going around the horn, we did see Derek Lively, shout out Lively, at the game in Dallas. So that was fun to see in not even a couple hours, a little less than 2 hours. So Duke's next game this Tuesday, be sure to check out, I'll have the preview either tomorrow or Monday, hoping for tomorrow. Yeah, so I'll have that out. So later today at 6:30, Pittsburgh will be playing Stanford. So Pittsburgh's our next opponent, so that'll be a good one to tune into for all of us Duke fans, get a little look at the next team. I'll be watching that one. And we get, some Blue Devil connections in that game with, Coach Capel, obviously the coach of Pittsburgh. And then my guy, Jalen Blakes, has been having a really good year for Stanford. So we'll be getting a chance to see Jalen Blakes live later on this evening. Lawrence Freeman says that was the second or third best team in our league, that we just put belt to ass. Yeah. You're spot on. I mean, I don't know what it says more of, the current state of the ACC, or how good this Duke team. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. But man, just a great win for Duke, a shellacking, 27-point win for this Duke team over, as Lawrence said, one of the top 5 teams in the ACC. So, with that being said, if you're new, please subscribe to the program. We're covering Duke all year long, and then some NBA draft stuff as well. Oh, speaking of the draft, I almost forgot. There was one thing I've been wanting to say this. I've kind of held off. I think it's time. There's this narrative going around. I like covering the draft. I think it's one of my favorite things to do. There's this narrative going around that Cooper Flagg, can't be the number one option at the next level. And I think at the start of the year, before the Kentucky game, I hadn't seen too much of Cooper. I was like, yeah, okay. I could kind of get behind that statement. He's kind of more of a Swiss Army knife kind of guy, not a true number one option. As the year has gone on, as we've watched Cooper against some of the best teams, you see the type of shots he takes. You see the comfort he has in getting to those shots. Yes, early on, the percentages weren't great, but boy, oh boy, this guy, I think, is a number one option. I just totally disagree with the sentiment that he can't be that. And he's just continued to improve. I expect him to continue to improve, not only as this college year goes on, but he's 18 years old. He's going to get better as he goes at the next level. We'll have more spacing around him. Well, maybe not actually, because he could go to a really bad team. But theoretically, I guess, eventually he would have more spacing around him. His shot continues to get better. I think he could be a 25 point per game scorer 5 years down the line at the next level. So I think, I don't know, I had to get that one off my chest. So anyways, if you like this video, drop a like, helps us grow. Leave a comment. I really like to see the comments from you guys, and share it with all of your Duke basketball friends. And I'll see you guys for the preview for Duke versus Pittsburgh. That game will be this Tuesday at 7 o'clock, so be sure to tune in for the post-game show after that. And the preview, I will hope to drop either tomorrow or